Dakota Fox News at 9 with Anna Schleisman and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
They were at every game. I look at them like before every face-off, and they just like, they were here for us, and they were like true fans.
A moment of silence at the start of tonight's Bobcats game, honoring some of their fallen fans, the 4 RJR maintenance and management employees that were murdered earlier this month in Mandan. Well, hundreds of fans took part in paying respect to the victims of the April 1st tragedy. RJR has been a sponsor of the Bobcats for years. The team and fans are donating tonight to help the families.
They were such Bobcat fans, and so if we can do a little bit to give back to them and to honor both their memory, but also help with them moving forward, that's what we're about in the community.
RJR Maintenance and Management buy the number 25 jersey every year, and this year the team is donating it to the company, who've become like family.
There are people that have been affected by this, and I'm glad to see that there's so many people out there that want to help these people.
Well, the 4 were fondly known at the office as the Coffee Club, as they would arrive early to enjoy a cup of joe and each other's company before the busyness of the workday began. RJR employees were like family. As they tried to return to some semblance of normalcy, they're thankful for the camaraderie between coworkers and the love and support from the community. The motive for the murders remains unknown. Well, it looks like there will be some sunshine to help brighten everyone's weekend here, Henry.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll have a little bit of increasing cloud cover for tomorrow, but for the time being, we've got a rather mostly clear sky across the viewing area. Let's look at our live Minot Skywatch camera. Got some clouds pushing in, but overall, across the region, it is a rather comfortable but unseasonably mild evening. Bismarck, Mandan, you did reach 80 degrees. Temperatures slowly falling in Dickinson right now. Look at our Dickinson Skywatch camera. A gorgeous Good Friday evening and a Good Friday night across the region. Currently, Bismarck's at 68. Dickinson's down to 62. Still holding tight to 71 in Minot and Sidney, 67 in Williston. The wind, thankfully, has let up. So for the time being, 5 to 10 mile per hour westerly wind. The rest of your forecast and more coming up later on.
Thanks, Henry. Well, the redacted Mueller report was released, and the Harvard bookstore has already sold hundreds of copies. So what now?
I think the political spin is going to be full scale, 24/7. I mean, that's what's next. But hopefully, we can get to work on doing things like lowering prescription drug prices, fighting the opioid addiction, and fixing our broken immigration system. But I'm cautiously optimistic, but I don't have a lot of high hopes.
Well, some share Armstrong's sentiments and others confirm his suspicions. From subpoenas to talk of impeachment, the political battles continue. Stacey Cohen reports.
This Good Friday, bad feelings abound in the wake of the Mueller report release. The big question is, what's next? Some say it's time to move on, as the special counsel found the Trump campaign did not conspire with the Russians and offered no conclusion on obstruction of justice.
No new indictments, no sealed indictments, no collusion, no obstruction. The Trump campaign and the Trump administration completely complied with everything.
House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler disagrees. Less than 24 hours after the report was made public, Nadler subpoenaed Attorney General William Barr for the unredacted version and all underlying evidence. Some Democrats slammed Barr for mischaracterizing Mueller's findings, particularly on obstruction of justice. Mueller said that Trump's efforts were unsuccessful, mainly because the aides declined to carry out his orders.
Mueller totally kicks the ball over to Congress and says it's up to Congress to decide whether there was obstruction of justice, whether there were high crimes and misdemeanors. That's our constitutional role. We can't run away from it.
Barr is expected to testify May 1st. The committees are moving to bring Mueller in, too. Regardless of what the committee finds, House Democratic leadership warns against moving toward impeachment. Republican Chris Stewart offers this warning to Democrats.
I think the American people are exhausted by it. I think they're so tired of it. And I think they're handing the president the greatest gift they could give him in the 2020 election.
In Washington, I'm Stacey Cohen.
Well, it looks as though the probe spurred more than a dozen follow-up investigations. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced a caucus conference call Monday to discuss Democrats' next steps. Well, the fate of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library is delayed due to concerns that legislators may have taken unconstitutional steps. The Senate changed the payment structure on the bill authorizing construction in Medora, which House members say was not allowed. A conference committee will discuss it Monday afternoon.
It's like a lot of issues. It takes a lot of twists and turns before we leave here, so we'll look at it within the governor's budget and we'll deal with it.
Regardless of how we felt about the library itself, doing things according to process is important. Following the rule of law is important.
Hogue supported the Senate bill, saying he was comfortable with the wording. Becker says he's voting no, but thinks it has a good chance of passing. Lawmakers decided not to expand concealed carry licenses. The bill would have allowed people to concealed carry in schools, universities, and at other public gatherings. Representatives Todd Porter of Mandan and Pat Heinert of Bismarck said they were trying to address the concerns of educators, and they would have the exact same weapons training as law enforcement and have to recertify every year. But senators say educators don't want guns in schools unless it's licensed law enforcement. The issue will be a possible study topic before the 2021 session. And a Mandan woman was arrested today after leading highway patrol on a high-speed chase on I-94. 22-year-old Raven Harrison was captured after she sideswiped a car at exit 153 and damaged her car to the point it wouldn't run anymore. She had a 1-year-old in an unsecured car seat with her. The child was released to protective services. Line 94 at exit 153 was already down to one lane, and DOT and Highway Patrol have now closed that driving lane for repairs. Westbound traffic will be diverted at the off-ramp. And a California couple who kept their 13 children in a house of horrors was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison today. David and Louise Turpin pleaded guilty in February to abusing and holding their children captive for years. Officials say they tied the children up for weeks at a time, beat and starved them, and only let them shower once a year. One of their daughters testified today that she was robbed of her entire life, but she's taking it back.
My dad changed my mom. They almost changed me. But I realized what was happening. I immediately did what I could to not become like that. I'm a fighter, I'm strong, and I'm shooting through life like a rocket.
Through tears, both parents said they were sorry and loved their children. One of their sons said he had forgiven them. A man has been charged in connection to the U.S. bank robbery in Bismarck. Police say the man entered the bank on January 15th and told a teller this is a robbery, then took an undisclosed amount of cash. No weapon was displayed. Well, documents say CBP at a New Jersey airport found Robert Wolter with over $10,000. He'd only claimed he was carrying $6,000 as he tried to leave the country. He's charged with bank robbery in North Dakota and bulk cash smuggling in New Jersey. Well, Fargo contractor who cheated homeowners is banned from doing business in North Dakota for at least 5 years or until he pays thousands in restitution. Homeowners complained studs and rugs, and owner Timothy Rosine took large advance deposits, then abruptly closed business without providing refunds in October of 2017. Well, after investigating, the state's attorney general sued Rosine for consumer fraud law violations. A settlement agreement requires him to pay nearly $122,000 in restitution. And 4 generations of a Bismarck Mandan family have been keeping the tradition alive at A&B Pizza. 50 years ago, Alvin Heyer and Barb Barth founded the company. It's now grown to 4 locations, and they're still all owned and operated by the family.
Well, it's really awesome that it made it 50 years. You know, family's been working at it the whole time. It's pretty impressive that we all stuck together and made it this far.
The official celebration is April 22nd through the 25th. And a new restaurant is on its way to Bismarck. Noodles World Kitchen, also known as Noodles & Company, is coming to the business center at 3rd Street and Sweet Avenue. The rental company says on Facebook that the opening date has yet to be determined. The Sanford Health Foundation Great American Bike Race raises money for families to help cover the expenses of caring for a child with cerebral palsy or some other condition. Well, Alan Miller tells us for one family, it's been a godsend.
She may have physical challenges, but 7-year-old Lily is a smart, social first grader with plenty of friends. And she has plenty of support as well, with a team of pedal pushers on her side.
So have you ever been to the race before?
Yes, lots of times last year.
What is it like there?
It's like a lot of bikes there, and there's a pretty loud buzzer.
A loud buzzer?
She has a twin brother named Cash. They're best friends. Mom says they never fight. And though they aren't in the same class at school, they get together when they can.
We eat lunch with her. And maybe in the hallways sometimes we can see, and sometimes after music I can see her. There we go.
There's a long list of items that Gabber has covered for the Fords that insurance did not. One of the biggest was an allowance to convert this van to make it much easier to take Lily to school and elsewhere.
And before I was, having to lift her up and get her into a car seat in the back seat of the van, and then take apart her manual chair, popping off the tires, putting that all in the back. And if you can imagine doing that while the wind is blowing 40 to 50 miles per hour in the middle of winter, yeah, it's not fun. Okay, you should be able to go.
Lily may be little now, but her mom says she's already talking about college and thinking about a career.
Well, the Big Bike Race takes place a week from tomorrow at Legacy High School. Well, who's ready to get out on the river? Just remember, it takes you some time to get your sea legs. Safety tips coming up next.
And we've got some nice weather across Minot this evening, but what about your Easter weekend? Stay with us. West Dakota Fox News at 9 will return in a few minutes.
The North Dakota Department of Agriculture is looking for answers to bee-related
health issues by offering $130,000 in grants for those willing to do the research. North Dakota is the top honey-producing state in the country, bringing in nearly $70 million a year. One honey farmer in Minot is happy the state is taking action.
As we're number one, that we stay number one, and we have the research and technology in front of us and doing our due diligence to make sure that we don't get wiped out.
Grant applications are due on May 31st, and additional information can be found at yournewsleader.com. Well, another sector on the verge of getting wiped out, small family farms. The U.S. Agriculture Department reports farm numbers in 2018 dropped by 300 in North Dakota. Contending with Mother Nature is always a gamble, but a fifth-generation farmer in Morton County, Dennis Renner, says the cost-price squeeze is the main problem. Machinery and products are expensive, and they're competing with international farmers who can sell their goods at cheaper prices. He advises others to not spend more than they have.
We gotta have enough income in there to sustain the operation at a reasonable level.
As the 2019 planting season kicks off, Renner is hoping for a productive year. 3 people are safe after a long night stranded on a sandbar in the Missouri River. They told Bismarck rural firefighters their boat got away from them as they were launching it into the water last night. Swift water technicians and a boat operator retrieved it just after midnight. All 3 people, including a child, were cold but uninjured. Well, this is why boat safety is so important. As boating season approaches, Jordan Verdadero talked with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department about staying safe on the water, especially with the ever-changing tide and current of the Missouri.
Bob Freed is a Bismarck local who's been boating for over 40 years and is still careful when going out on the water.
Be very cautious. The river is pretty dangerous this time of year, especially with the water levels the way they are.
He was boating earlier alone and had to tie the boat to a sandbar to get his truck to bring it back on land.
Difficult. I didn't realize there'd be that many people here today. Normally it's slower during the week, but I guess because today's Good Friday.
Brian Schaefer from the North Dakota Game and Fish Department says boaters need to be extra careful their first few times on the water in the beginning of the season.
You go slow and go with someone who's been out on the river before.
Schaefer says just because the air is warm doesn't mean the water is, and it's critical to always wear a life vest because it keeps you afloat and warm.
This time of year it's important to take a pair of waders, take maybe an extra rope or some type of tow strap, because it can be difficult with the current to get that boat off without having someone get into the water.
Freed's advice to other boaters is to always wear your life jacket and always make sure to have them with you because a fish is not worth risking your life. In Bismarck, I'm Jordan Verdadero reporting for your news leader.
Game and Fish have extensive safety information on their website for new and experienced boaters. Well, a bill allocating millions to Minot area's flood protection project passed. Now the focus shifts to how Governor Burgum will interpret the much larger portion of the bill. It would allocate $82.5 million for Minot's project, but would also secure a long-term commitment of $750 million for the Fargo-Moorhead diversion. That's less than what the governor wanted, and there's speculation he may consider vetoing the bill so lawmakers revisit the amount for the diversion. But a bill has to be signed in order for the State Water Commission to function.
There's not necessarily as much concern about the appropriation in the next biennium. So in that regard, should the numbers be adjusted to accommodate Fargo's request, it actually won't, it would not have an impact on the $82.5 million, as I understand it anyway.
Ackerman says next week he'll work to secure a loan for the local share of Minot's flood protection project. Well, it looks like it's going to be warm and dry for the next few days here, Henry.
Yeah, mostly dry. There will be a slight chance of a few showers, but still no reason to cancel your plans for your Easter weekend. To end your Good Friday, we are picking up on some returns. The forecast remains on track. A few spotty showers here and there across the northwest, and then a few trying to reach the ground across Fallon County, but these are going to quickly dissipate as the sun continues to set and we lose daytime heating. But for right now, just to the west of Williston, just a few light sprinkles. Let's take a closer look at that. So if anything is reaching the ground, it will be over Culberson, Bainville, and heading along Highway 2 and pushing to the east. Some returns over Sydney, but a lot of this, as I mentioned, is not reaching the ground, and then some of this may make its way into north central North Dakota. Otherwise, the rest of us will remain on the dry side. So this is just a weak little disturbance. Got another batch well to the southwest of Glasgow, which could move into the region overnight, giving a few spotty showers to the central and southwestern region overnight and in the morning. But like I said, majority of us are going to remain dry for today and tonight. Normal high 59 degrees, not even close. 80 for Sidney, Williston, and Minot. Bismarck topped out at 81 today, 78 for Dickinson, and notice 70 for the Jamestown area, all due to a warm front that is still between Jamestown and Bismarck for right now. That's what gave us the warmer air across the central and western viewing area. But for right now, we're down mostly into the 60s with more of a southerly wind ahead of that warm front, around 15 miles per hour for Jamestown. Behind the front, we have more of a southwest wind, lighter at that, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's that warm front. It's getting out of here. Next, a cold front pushes through tonight into your Saturday morning. That's what is going to help spawn a few hit and miss rain showers for your Saturday. Still no reason to cancel your plans whatsoever, but just be on the lookout for a few spotty showers. Otherwise, mainly dry conditions and a little bit of cloud cover. It looks like majority of the southern region, however, should remain at least sunny until some of the clouds start to push in later on during the day for you. But across the north, you'll be seeing a bit more cloud cover than the rest of us. Our lows, as we start out Saturday morning, are going to be mostly around 40 degrees, but then notice by the noon hour, we're still mid-60s, maybe a couple of 70s out there across the south central region. Definitely as you get closer to the north to South Dakota state line, 70s. Mobridge likely topping out 80 degrees. Models still picking up on the chance of showers, mostly across the north, but we can't rule out a couple along the interstate as well. But as I mentioned, still no reason to cancel your plans. So for Dickinson, going with 66 for your high tomorrow, 70 for Bismarck. Mandan starting out your morning in the 50s for the Williston area, and Minot going with 60 degrees for both of you, slight chance of showers and increasing clouds throughout the day. Let's take a look at your next 7 days. Easter Sunday still looking good, slight chance of a shower or two. Otherwise, it is going to be a bit breezy at times. We're kind of getting into that season, Anna, where the wind is going to be picking up. So we got to get used to that, but at least our temperatures remain mild.
Sounds good, Henry. Well, a man in Nebraska may owe his life to a pothole. We'll explain next. Well, as we deal with the nuisance of potholes, one man can attest to the fact that they can actually be life-saving. An ambulance in Nebraska was heading to the hospital with a 59-year-old man whose heart rate was racing up to 200 beats per minute. According to the Omaha Scanner on Twitter, medics told the hospital the patient's heart rate returned to normal after the rig hit a pothole. Doctors say it's rare, but it does happen.
One way to treat that is with an electrical shock. Classically, you'll see on television, the paddle's clear and the big jolt. Turns out you can do that with a pothole.
Friends of the patient expect the man to recover fully at home. And for those who have suffered from a heart attack, the timing of meals could influence recovery time. The study was comprised of 113 heart attack patients and found those with a pattern of skipping breakfast and eating late dinners had a 4 to 5 times higher risk of death or having another heart attack. Scientists note this is only an association, not a cause and effect link. And as the opioid battle continues, the FDA approved the first generic brand Narcan nasal spray. It's a life-saving medication that can stop or reverse effects of an opioid overdose, usually within minutes if administered quickly. It's been available in an injectable form for years, but the spray is an effort to make it more accessible and able to be used by those without medical training. Well, a piece of fabric is on its way to the International Space Station. We'll tell you all about its mission after the break. A piece of the University of North Dakota was launched into space on Wednesday. NASA chose the UND-developed NDX-1 spacesuit as part of its mission to test different materials in the inhospitable environments of space. A piece of the suit's fabric, along with 4 other technologies, will be left in space for at least a year to study the long-term impact of extreme temperatures and radiation. Pablo de Leon, a space studies professor at UND, is the primary inventor of the suit. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather's not all that cool. In fact, it's rather mild right now because we're still in the 70s across the region. But for your Saturday morning, we'll be waking up to the 50s, a light west wind. But a cold front pushes through tonight in the morning, and that west wind becomes a little more northwesterly and could be a bit breezy at times. Otherwise, clouds are going to be on the increase, mainly across the north with a chance of showers, but no reason to cancel your plans. Highs are going to be mostly in the 60s for tomorrow, 70s across the far south, bit breezy at times. Easter Sunday looks good. Another slight chance of showers, Anna, but I think we can make it through this, especially with the little bit of wind we're expecting.
It's definitely an hospitable environment.
Yes, it is.
Thanks so much. Have a good weekend.